welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to look at a story that takes something we all do, grabbing a late night cab, and turns it into an absolute waking nightmare. We're going to deconstruct the Hindi horror story 3:33 a.m. and see exactly how it uses these subtle little glitches in reality and our own modern tech to cook up a ghost story you really won't forget. So the story leaves us with this warning, right? And it's the perfect place for us to jump in. It really taps into a very specific, very modern kind of fear, putting all your trust in a total stranger that you summoned with an app in the dead of night. This one idea is pretty much the engine for the entire story we're about to get into. The best horror often starts in the most normal places. So we meet our main character, Nisha. She's just wrapped up a long, grueling late shift. She's not some adventurer or a ghost hunter, nope. She's just a tired 26-year-old in a totally familiar, boring setting. The story really wants us to relate to her right before it yanks the rug out from under her feet. All she wants is to get home and just collapse into bed. I mean, we've all been there, right? And it's that exact feeling, exhausted, vulnerable, your guard is totally down, that makes her the perfect target for whatever is coming next. She isn't looking for any trouble. She just wants her bed. Okay, so the first really unsettling moment isn't some cheap jump scare. The story is much, much cleverer than that. It starts by kind of weaponizing something our brains just do automatically. We look for patterns. It drops in this one tiny detail that feels just a little too perfect to be a simple coincidence. And here it is, getting the same cab driver 3 nights in a row. Now the first time, that's nothing. The second time is kind of weird, maybe, but the third time, that's not a coincidence anymore. That's a pattern. And this is the very first, very quiet alarm bell telling us something is definitely wrong. Okay, so let's move on and see how the story brilliantly takes that quiet little alarm and just cranks it up to a full-blown siren. That feeling of unease is about to transform into this terrifying sense that the world itself just isn't following the rules anymore. Real fear often kicks off with a simple, logical question that just doesn't get a logical answer. The driver completely ignores the GPS and pulls onto this deserted road. This is the moment the story takes a literal wrong turn, peeling away from the familiar map of the city and driving into, well, somewhere else entirely. So the story starts leaving what I like to call these breadcrumbs of fear. They're not big scares, they're just tiny, impossible glitches. An ancient news bulletin on the radio, a billboard that seems to repeat itself, only it looks decayed and burnt the second time around. And then her phone, her link to safety, it starts to fail. Every single glitch just chips away at her sense of what's real. And then comes the phone call that just shatters everything. Her friend Sana tells her she's still at the office gate, that the cab was canceled. But Nisha is in the cab. Both of those things cannot possibly be true, and yet they're both happening. At this point, logic has completely left the building. And with that final blinking battery icon, her last link to the rational world is just severed. Her lifeline is gone. Now she is completely, totally alone, trapped in a car with a growing, horrifying mystery. All right, we've now hit the story's climax. All those unsettling breadcrumbs, all those glitches in reality, they're all about to lead to a truly terrifying destination. Suspicion is about to become cold, hard confirmation. I mean, this is the ultimate tell. The dashboard clock freezes solid at 3:33 a.m. The seconds just stop ticking. It's the final nail in the coffin, confirming that whatever is happening in this car is not bound by the normal rules of time and space. They are somewhere else now. And now we get the tragic truth behind the whole haunting. Mahesh reveals that he died in a hit and run on this very night exactly 1 year ago. This is what makes the story so effective. He's not just some monster, he's the victim of a tragedy, which makes his ghostly presence both incredibly sad and absolutely terrifying. This reveals he isn't some vengeful spirit out for blood. He's just a ghost, stuck in a tragic loop, forever trying to finish his last ride home. And every so often, the ride-sharing app glitches out, pulling someone like Nisha into his purgatory right along with him. Okay, and this is where the story makes a fantastic turn. I mean, most characters would be completely paralyzed by fear at this point, but Nisha does something totally different. The story shifts her from being a passive victim of this haunting to someone who's actively trying to solve a supernatural puzzle. She catches her own reflection in the mirror and sees this thin, blood-like line across her neck. And this forces us and her to ask a really disturbing question. Is she just an unlucky passenger? Or is she somehow fundamentally connected to this whole ghostly event? Is she trapped with the ghost? Or is she maybe part of the ghost story? So instead of panicking, she actually starts to think. She forms a theory that she's stuck in the same loop he is. And then she does the unthinkable. She takes charge. She tells the ghost to turn the car around and drive directly to the place where his trauma began. It's an astonishingly brave move. When they get to the temple, she rings the bell. It's this desperate, really powerful act, a plea for help. But what's amazing is that she isn't just praying for her own freedom. She's praying for Mahesh's peace, too. She's trying to find a way out for both of them. And now for the final act. This is the part of the story that truly elevates it. We're given a moment to breathe, a logical explanation for everything, just before the story snatches that comfort away in the most unsettling way possible. Nisha jolts awake on a bench outside her office. Her friend is there, the security guard is there, and they tell her the cab was canceled. She must have just dozed off. All the evidence lines up perfectly. It's 2:59 a.m., her phone has plenty of battery, the ride is marked canceled. It all points to one rational conclusion. It was just a horrible, stress-induced nightmare. She feels relieved, totally safe. The logic of the real world has taken back control, and the nightmare seems to be over. She's shaken up, but she's convinced it was all in her head, and she understandably decides she is not taking a cab home. But as she's checking her phone one last time, that nice, rational explanation just completely falls apart. There's a new photo in her gallery. It's time-stamped 3:33 a.m. It's taken from the back seat of the cab, and you can see Mahesh watching her in the rearview mirror. It's impossible. Digital proof that the nightmare was absolutely real. Which leaves just one terrifying question. If she was asleep on that bench, who was in the back of that cab?